Hey folks, Craig Danger, vinyl record player, back once again, and you know what? Today we will be doing a little bit of a vinyl community thread, the Red or Dead thread. Really fun thread, actually, as a matter of fact. Brought to you by Martin, the Vinyl Scavenger. I will put his link below. Go over there and subscribe. Heck, you could subscribe to me too while you're at it. That just takes a button. With Martin, you got to go over there. Anyway, this gentleman has been in the vinyl community for apparently for more than 10 years. Only has around 600 subscribers now, so he's pushed to 500. I'm still going to do a video. Doesn't matter. Doesn't. Craig Danger don't listen. Craig Danger does what Craig Danger wants to do, and you know it's a great thread. We're going to be talking about some very interesting music today. Stuff I normally wouldn't be able to come up with an idea for. So this is quality. My thanks to Martin. So hey, grab yourself an ice cold beverage, and as you do with Craig Danger, buckle up. And we're back. Of course, this idea, I also want to thank John, the 6-inch pianist. He kind of did this idea on his channel, following up the Red or Dead thread, which basically the rules are this. Show 5 albums that either have a red spine or a red cover, and then show 5 artists that are dead. And really, I could do the dead part of this particular thread all day and night, to be fair. So much of my collection, particularly the soul side of that collection, those brothers no longer are with us, unfortunately. Being a soul singer, unfortunately, not a longevity kind of game. But you know what? We'll start out with the Reds today. Before we go to the Dead, so that's how this thing goes. Talk about some records. Again, I don't normally get to talk about these, so these are fantastic. Starting with, of course, Bebop Deluxe's Sunburst Finish. I'm guessing it's probably from 75, 76. There's the band there. Man in the middle is Bill Nelson, of course. Legendary songwriter, guitarist. In fact, one of the things that I always say whenever I talk about Bebop Deluxe, unfortunately, really under-recognized band. They had maybe a chart single. I believe it was off this one. And that one, of course, would be Ships in the Night. Ooh, banger on this one. Very different to most of their material. But you know what? Never really had the success. Cool as hell looking band. There's a lot of really great clips on the YouTube from the old Gray Whistle Test. They did probably a couple of sessions with them. And you know what? Really fantastic band. Again, Bill Nelson, songwriter, producer, guitarist extraordinaire. One of the things I always say is Prince. Wow. Prince, you can't tell me Prince didn't hear no Bill Nelson. Because wow, the way that Prince plays, it's like he's been listening to Bill Nelson records and also Bebop Deluxe all day and night. Because, this man's you could call him a licksman if you want. A man with licks. But really fantastic pop record. Frankly, and rock, really. Almost everything from Bebop Deluxe is great. I've never really had a problem with any of their stuff. Unfortunately, yeah, they just never really got popular. So this is my first one, Sunburst Finish, in the red category. And yeah, look at that interesting cover with a naked lady, which is always interesting. Also flaming guitar. And the next one we got here, Slayed Alive from 1972 on the Polydor label. This is, of course, a U.S. pressing. Really cool cover, super red. And then, of course, look at this intriguing inside with a large blue bear. Anyway, this, of course, I think this is one of those albums that sort of, much like America's Kiss, with their Kiss Alive, I believe that Slayed Alive, rather, was kind of a big sort of stepping point. In the early 70s, of course, Slade had a number of top 10, top 5, I think probably even number 1 singles to their credit. They were sort of the glam band that maybe these guys weren't the prettiest. Pretty rockin' stuff, but you know what? Yeah, it's very 3/4, very glammy. But you know what? This is Slade kind of doing what they do best, which was play live. I believe in a lot of cases. So I believe there might be a Slade Alive 2, but this one sort of sums up some of those. I think some of those early singles, and I think there's a couple covers on this one. But this of course. Again, I'm sure this one sold buckets in the UK. Slade, of course, never really did very much in the United States until around the 80s, when, of course, Quiet Riot covered Come On Feel the Noise, which was a huge hit, got them some royalties. And then, of course, they had a comeback album. And I was just up in Winnipeg, and I saw this album, didn't pick it up, but the big single there was Run, Runaway, and they had a really sort of huge album in the 1980s in the United States. I mean, it was huge for Slade, who had literally tried to crack the United States all through the 70s and failed pretty miserably. But you know what? Slade Alive, again, an excellent document of the band in its early stages, when really pretty much everything they recorded went to the top 5 in the UK. So Slade, definitely underrated band, and woo, you don't get a redder cover than Slade Alive from 1972. If you've watched this channel before, friends, I know that you've seen this. 1966's Stolen. We're talking about Lou Rawls. We are talking about, of course, the producer, the Axe, David Axelrod. Legendary stuff. This, of course, very sort of, like most Rawls stuff, a little jazzy. Axelrod, obviously, a little jazzy. But I think I've said this on many occasions. I'll say it one more time. How about Lou Rawls' best album? And again, my knowledge of his 70s Philadelphia International period is not great, although I do know there is some disco elements there. But this one is just absolutely fantastic. Not what I would call an R&B shouter. There is a lot of sort of jazzy sort of scapes on this one. And then, of course, one of my favorite songs of all time, Love Is a Hurtin' Thing, which Lou absolutely, just destroys. It's a piece of majesty. But all through this album, just really, I can't say enough about this album. You can pick this up almost anywhere, easily for under 10, possibly for under 5 if you're looking in the bins. Super underrated album from, I think, a super underrated artist. Dude was around so long that people just were like, oh, Lou Rawls, we don't need him. Ooh, you need this. 1966's Stolen on the Capitol label. And oh, look, that is a dapper man. Dapper man, Lou Rawls. So again, from 66, a super red cover from Lou Rawls. Turns out it's also his best album with David Axelrod. Then, of course, this one I just kind of pulled out of the old jazz section. Big fan of Jimmy McGriff, organ player. Very sort of jazz funk, jazz soul type stuff. Early Hammond sort of expert. And he was actually on Sonny Lester's Solid State label, which I love that logo. Look at that. That's a beauty. What can I say? Anything that Jimmy McGriff does tends to be funky. Really good stuff. Anything on the Solid State label is actually really fun. But even going into the 70s, he kind of funked up the funk. Things got a little funkier than funky. And this, of course, is from 69. Jimmy McGriff, organ and blues band. There's a few records. It's funny because I was on Discogs. I took a look. There's Jimmy McGriff records, and then there's Jimmy McGriff, organ and blues band. I think it's fair to say that basically they're Jimmy McGriff records. All instrumental, but really funky stuff. If you like Hammond organ, you'll love this. Again, I'm not a big jazz head, but I like things funky, and I love me some Hammond organ. And Jimmy McGriff are really a superstar in the realm. Unfortunately, he also, again, most of these artists, you're going to be thinking, they're red or they're dead. Jimmy is also not living. But hey, legend in the game. Step 1 on the Solid State label from 69. Here's another one, more of a red spine on this one, which I thought was very cool. But you know what? When am I ever going to get a chance to talk about The Gospel Truth, the complete singles collection? Now, The Gospel Truth, of course, was actually a division of Stax. Really kind of emblematic of the Stax story, which was they kind of had a few hit LPs and then way overexpanded. And in fact, as you can see, this is a sort of a collection basically a 3-record collection, all really banging gospel stuff. Like, that's the funny thing about gospel is that it relates a lot to soul. It's like soul without the ballads, baby. You know, a lot of soul and a lot of screaming and preaching lyrics about God. You know, cool, whatever. The emotion is all there. And actually, I listened to this a little bit last night. Really, really fun collection. Oh, a little red inside on this beauty. But you know what? This thing can go up for like 30, 40 bucks. I picked this up for like 12 bucks. This is a great deal. And like I say, it's funny how much gospel influenced soul to the point that there are a lot of huge soul hits that were just basically gospel songs. They just wrote some new lyrics. And this kind of does show us sort of a vice versa situation. Just My Imagination, in this case, from the Rance Allen group, becomes Just My Salvation. I'm like, love it. Clever stuff, but again, the singing and the instrumentation on this is fantastic. Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. These are some straight from the church vibes, and you know, obviously it's gospel. It doesn't get much more straight from the church. So The Gospel Truth is my 5th red LP because of this, but again, you know, we got this on the front. Again, unfortunately, if Stax could have lived on, I still don't think that this would have lasted too much longer with all the consolidation in the mid-70s, but they tried, and again, all of this music is very, very good. So now we'll transition to The Dead, of course, with a little bit of red as well. Let's peel off the plastic on this big dog. I just picked this up, this beauty up in Winnipeg, MB. Oh, check out that red tux on old Tyrone Davis from, I believe, 71, 72. Ooh, how about Without You in My Life? Ooh, Tyrone Davis on the Dakar label, of course, produced by Carl Davis. This man is a man you have to know. Basically, between 69 and 75, there just, you know, was not a single that he had that didn't at least go top 40 or top 10 or top 20 soul. And it's got a lot to do with my man Carl Davis, super producer. But again, you couldn't do it without Tyrone. And Tyrone, great voice. But again, you would be surprised how many fantastic songs. I just bought this album and basically, like, the whole thing is great. And, you know, there's even some covers there where you're like, oh, I've heard that song before. It was Tyrone Davis. So he, of course, is dead. I believe probably in the early 2000s. Again, soul music, not really a place where folks be sticking around too long. But yeah, R.I.P. to Tyrone. Ooh, this is a great album. Any of these Dakar label albums that you can pick up from sort of that 69 to 75 period, ending at the turning point, ooh, pick that up. Pick them all up. And I'm kind of in the midst of doing that right now, which is awesome. And I was really happy to pick up this one. I got it for like 15 bucks. It's like minty, except for, of course, the cut. Sometimes you got the cuts, is what it is. Next up, would have also fit for red, but you know what? I thought I'd talk about a little Tim Buckley. I've talked about Tim on the channel before. Never Sophronia. Heard this one today. Really great stuff. There basically are 3 periods in the Tim Buckley catalog. There's sort of this beginning sort of folk, sort of psych folk area, and then it just goes all wacky and jazzy to the point where, like, by the end of his career, he kind of was like, I don't think I like those records. And this is sort of his final period, which is kind of known as his almost funk period. I wouldn't call it funk. I mean, Tim is fine, but to call Tim deeply funky, I think we're really kind of exaggerating here. But phenomenal singer, and again, handsome gentleman too. Of course, he passed in 75 of a sort of a heroin alcohol sort of situation, and of course did in the 60s actually give birth, or not give birth, but rather contribute, and rather is the father of Jeff Buckley, who sadly would also die very tragically in kind of the mid-90s in a drowning accident. So the Buckley name, somewhat cursed, but this is all really, really good stuff. I just listened to it today. Really my favorite will always be Dolphins, the Fred Neil song. Really great stuff, but it's got pretty good instrumentation all over it. Now, is it his best album? No, but I think in that later period, there's a little filler in the mix. But this is a great album nonetheless. Like I say, it's definitely superior to those middle ones. And certainly the early ones, kind of, there is a naivete to them that's attractive. But again, this is sort of Tim Buckley in funk mode, which again, I hesitate to use the word funky. He is a white man who does some reminiscent of funk. But yeah, it's basically kind of pop rock. Let's be real about it. But Sophronia, I believe it's from '73. There's the man on the back, wearing a somewhat suspect shirt, but hey, it was the '70s, man. We did funny things back then, and by we, I mean not me, because I was not there. But anyway, Sophronia, good one. Another one that I just picked up there, and I was in Seattle. Actually visited had a little dinner with the legend of the vinyl community, Norman Masloff. Actually, it was fantastic. I find that now that I've got upwards of 1,000 records, it's tougher to buy. But you know what? It was not hard to buy Lee Moses' Time and Place. I've been looking for this dog, and this is one of those records where you're like, oh, it's cool. I can pick it up on Discogs for cheap. How about no? How about automatic $40 plus shipping? Pick this one up for 40. It is, of course, a repress on the Maple label, which is fine. But unfortunately, I think by the mid '90s, Lee Moses was gone. And again, absolutely very little to no legacy. This was his sole album. He also had like another album that more collects singles, and then I've got another one that's sort of demos and all this other stuff. But man should have had way more. Sort of guitar player, fantastic voice, really. And this again features also. I would add not only Time and Place. This album is fantastic from cover to cover. But also I would say best cover of California Dreamin' ever recorded. Just absolutely ill, as the kids would say these days. Really gut-wrenchingly emotional. Fantastic, again, guitar playing by Lee on this one. But Lee, unfortunately, yeah, it's unfortunate because I don't think anyone, even in the 90s, knew that Lee was this fantastic. It probably would take up until this kind of re-release, and people are like, oh wow, this guy Lee Moses was amazing. Yeah, unfortunately that happens a lot. But Time and Place, definitely deserves, as a Dead member, deserves a space in anyone's collection. In fact, whether you like soul or not, I'm telling you. Also does a great cover of Hey Joe. Ooh, ill. Is it one of the best? I don't know. It's a question for another video. Another one. Unfortunately, I did actually a little bit of a tribute video to my man right here, Terry Reid. Just passed this year. Terry Reid. I've told this story a million times. I'll try to sum it up. Basically, could have been huge. Could have been the lead singer of Led Zeppelin. Could have even been the lead singer of Deep Purple. Kind of was like, no, I want to go solo, do my thing. Kind of never really got off to a great place. Was, of course, managed by producer Mickey Most. And Mickey Most was like, oh, you need to do ballads and all this other crap. And Terry Reid was like, dude, I'm a creative dude. I'm going to do what I want to do. And that absolutely torpedoed his career for about 4 or 5 years. So he had to get out of that contract. Anyway, fantastic guitarist, singer, and songwriter. There's Terry on the back. Again, he actually just passed earlier this year. But this, I think, remains seed of memory from 1975, I believe, or no, 76. Still a legendary record. This is not an easy record to find. I mean, now that Terry's passed, it's possible it may come out on streaming. And if you do get an opportunity to hear it on streaming, cool. Even better would be if they did some kind of re-release. But again, at least by the performance of my tribute video, not a lot of folks thinking about Terry Reid. But you know what? They should be, because Terry was fantastic. And again, Terry just passed this year. So not too late to pick up some Terry Reid. And again, this is sort of, also produced by Graham Nash, as a matter of fact, his good buddy. Sort of was a buddy of all the rock stars at the time. Just kind of never really got the break. But wow, great tunes on this one too. Faith to Arise, the title track. But the whole album is just wicked. And, the feathering of that hair is, I believe some would call a hairdressing legend right here. Right, look at this. Good stuff. But anyway, Terry Reid from 76, See to Memory. If you see this in the store, oh my God, pick it up. This was a grail for me for the longest time. Finally found it at one of my favorite stores in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, actually, as a matter of fact. And we'll close this one out with one of my favorite records from a long dead artist. Of course, I'm talking about Julie London, The End of the World. Really good record. Sort of a classic. I mean, it doesn't get more torch singer than her. Smoky voice, and coincidentally, she was a heavy user of tobacco. She did obviously a little bit of acting, and really, this I believe is on the Liberty label. Yeah, the classic Liberty label. A lot of really good stuff from her, from sort of the mid and later 50s until the early 60s. This, I think, is one of her last albums. I think she just kind of retired, was like, no, I'm done. She may have fully retired from show business as well. But this is really great sort of late night torch jazz type stuff. Really easy to listen to, but a little sexy even at times. My favorite jam on this one is easily Chances Are. Ooh. The smokinest version of Chances Are, in my opinion. But, I left my heart in San Francisco. Our Day Will Come. Fly Me to the Moon. It's that kind of stuff. A little female Frank Sinatra-y type stuff. But again, no one quite does it like Julie. Julie is a ripping and great singer. Great singer. And I frankly just don't. I think that she does not really get the respect. She may have been gone by the late 60s or 70s. Again, not 100%. But again, I do believe that there came a point in her career where she just was like, you know what? I'm out of this show business game. Done. Can't even do it anymore. And wow. Again, she did leave a filmography, but also, again, what a discography. A lot of really cool stuff. Little of the time, but fantastic. So, The End of the World, Julie London. I believe this one's from 63. I'm not a hundo. Could be 64. But, great record. Anything on the Liberty label. These Julie London records, by the way, you can pick these up cheap, usually, because old people like these records. Because, this is not rock and roll in any way, shape, or form. But, again, very sultry sounding. Julie London, fantastic. So, again, thank you for tuning in. That was of course, my Red or Dead from Martin, the Vinyl Scavenger. Go to his channel and subscribe. Just a little note, I think something like 90% of the people who watch the old Craig Danger channel, not even subscribed. Are you one of those people? If you are, it takes like 3 seconds. Just got to hit that button, hit the bell, and then hit the top bell. Because that means every time Craig Danger is on the YouTubes, someone will come to you and say, hey man, what's up? Have you checked out this Danger video yet? What's up? What's up? What's up? Actually, I probably won't say what's up that many times. That would be annoying, wouldn't it? At any rate, appreciate you sticking around to the end. Also, again, I'll say subscribe again. But I'm just going to go ahead and say that I will see you on the next one.